Going ready?
What's up, bot fam? Kyle here at the Traffic and Conversion Summit. In this video, I want to show you the exact system that we use at School of Bots to make sure that we get the most out of going to conferences like these. Alright guys, before we get into this, I want to let you know I'm crazy about systems and we'll be filming a ton of systems content this year where I'll be going into exactly what they are, exactly how to build them, exactly what each variable about a system means and how it affects the overall system. I'm going to be giving you as much content that is in here to you guys in regards to systems. But for the purposes of this video, what I want to do is break down the traffic and conversion system that we built so that we were able to get the most out of it and show you how you can kind of approach conferences as well in regards to a systems thinking format. Here's a system. Now there's 8 main features of every system that I build. The first feature that we start out with is going to be the aim. Now the purpose of creating an aim is to make sure that while everyone is looking at the system and going through the system, that everyone has a perfect understanding of exactly what the aim is of the overall system. What are you trying to do? What do you want the outcomes to be of this system? So for this system here, for Traffic and Conversion Conference, our aim is going to be to capture high quality content of Natasha speaking, as well as spread brand awareness of School of Bots and use our time as efficiently as possible with all of this in mind. Now our first variable here that we're going to be talking about in our system is going to be our chosen inputs. Now chosen inputs can be thought of as things that you're choosing to bring into the system. Now some of our chosen inputs for traffic and conversion were obviously the conference itself, traffic and conversion, our School of Bots swag, our business cards, our personalized scan codes, the clothing that we chose to wear that day, Kenji, which is the videographer that we hired to follow us around and film that content, the camera that I had to get some extra content, as well as the Facebook Lives that we had planned. Now again, those are inputs that we're choosing to bring into our system here. Now you can see this line right here represents the outside boundaries of the system. So the things that are on the left side of this line are going to be what lies on the outside of the system, and the things that lie on the right side are going to be what is in the inside of the system. All right, so next variable here is going to be our imposed inputs. So the imposed inputs are things that you don't have control over. These are things like traffic and conversion rules. You know, is Natasha allowed to have a call to action on stage? Absolutely not. So that is an imposed input that we have to be aware of as we're going through our processes in the system. The next imposed input is going to be Facebook's terms of service. We're going to be posting on Facebook a lot about the conference, maybe even going live. So we definitely have to keep in consideration what Facebook terms of service are and how those have an imposed input on our system. And the last thing is going to be our special causes. Now, special causes are a thing, again, that you don't necessarily have control over, things that can just happen that you can't prevent. Similar to like technical issues. That's a good one, right? Natasha actually, at the Traffic and Conversion Conference, they had an issue with her slide. But as you'll see here in our system, we had a process that prepared us to have our own USB drive that had her slides on it. So if there were technical issues, that we were ready for that. So again, these are all things that you want to keep in mind and have a clear picture of when you're going into a system. So now let's move into the meat of the system. So this first box here is going to say Natasha speaking. This is considered a subsystem. This is a subsystem inside the overall system. So for Natasha speaking, these are all things that our team needs to be on the exact same page about so we prevent any issues from happening. So the first thing that we all need to be on the same page about in regards to Natasha speaking is going to be, is her talk prepped and coordinated with the venue? Does she have everything that she's going to need to have a successful speech? Again, like I had mentioned, this is going to also come into play with the imposed inputs of being ready for those technical issues. When we're talking about her speaking, we need to be sure that no matter what happens, we're going to be able to have that presentation, have her mic'd up, and not run into any issues. So the second process here in our subsystem is going to be Kenji's in charge of filming the B-roll, photos, and video or audio. So that's really important to note here because there's two people filming, as we saw in our chosen inputs. There's Kenji as well as the camera, me filming, right? So we need to know, what is Kenji going to be doing exactly? What is he in charge of? What doesn't Kyle need to be aware of, and what doesn't he need to focus on because Kenji's going to be focusing on that, right? And so here we would have him sit down with us and understand that he's going to be in charge of taking the B-roll, of taking all the photos, as well as the video and audio of Natasha speaking on stage. So the next process here is going to be Natasha takes a selfie on stage. Is it possible for her to grab a selfie? If you were going into this without a system, you might not take the time to think, oh, it'd be really important for me to grab a selfie while I'm up on stage, to use that as content after the fact, after you've given a successful speech. Now, something that I didn't actually mention here is all of these lightly colored pink boxes. These are going to be considered processes. So these are the processes underneath of the subsystem here. And again, I will be making a video about exactly what all of these pieces are, what they mean, and how you should be thinking about them. But for the purpose of this, I just kind of want to move quickly here and make sure that you guys don't get too confused. So the next process here in our list underneath Natasha speaking is going to be Kyle goes live as possible. So that means that while Natasha is speaking on stage, would I be able to go live and actually get some live footage of her on stage with me in front of the camera with the School of Bots branding on the shirt? That's something that we wanted to keep in mind so that when we get to that point, we didn't overthink it. And the last one here is going to be prepared for special causes. Like I had mentioned earlier, are the slides not working? Is there a camera issue? Do we have a microphone for the crowd when Natasha's asking questions? These are things that we did because we had an understanding of it by going through this as a team and writing out this process. All right, so that is the Natasha speaking subsystem. So let's move on now to the School of Bots brand awareness subsystem. So again, this is going to be where Natasha, I, or our team members are at a conference. If anyone approaches us, how are we positioning School of Bots? How do we answer the question of, what do you do? What do you sell? Where are you guys located? So on and so forth. If anyone asks us those questions, our team are going to answer them exactly the same, and there's going to be no discrepancy as to kind of what our brand image looks like and the brand awareness that we want to spread. So the first question that we're going to have here is, where do we send someone who's interested in School of Bots? So if you go down this process, and again, I'm going to be going into exactly how to make these processes. It can get super nitty gritty. Like this thing could go down for pages and pages of a process, but I want you guys to have a general understanding here of not diving too deep into this, because like you can see, our team didn't ask every single question possible, but what we did is really kind of take the 80-20 of it and say, what are the most important things that our team needs a clear understanding of? What are the most important subsystems that we need a clear understanding of? And then we can start slowly working down the processes there. So, are they a potential student, or do they want to work with Ineffable? That's going to be the question that we ask ourselves when someone asks us, if they're interested in School of Bots. We're going to ask ourselves, are they a potential student, or do they want to work with our chatbot agency, Ineffable Marketing? So if they want to work with Ineffable Marketing, then we're going to see the prospecting for Ineffable process, which we'll go into next year. If they are a potential student, what we're going to do is explain what School of Bots is and send them to the Messenger Marketing Crash Course through our scan code, which is our free course. Now, we don't have exactly what that nomenclature is here in this process. As you can see up here, we've got a little note card that says, see relevant Asana cards. So for any of this stuff that goes into a little bit more detail, like we want to tell people, we want to have the script for our team exactly how we're explaining what School of Bots is and what Messenger Marketing Crash Course is, and kind of diving one level deeper. We have all of that information in relevant Asana cards for our team. So just so you know. So if they are a potential student, we're going to explain what School of Bots is and send them to the Messenger Marketing Crash Course through our scan code. And in that scan code, in the bot that they're going to get, they're going to find our Facebook page, our YouTube channel. They're going to find our personal profiles, as well as getting access to that Messenger Marketing free course. So pretty much anyone who meets us who's a potential student who's at all interested in School of Bots, we're slowly pushing them down the funnel and giving them value immediately, giving them access to our free course that'll teach them exactly how to use ManyChat and build a bot so that they can understand, if they're more serious, they can move forward and working with us. All right, so the next question that people are going to be asking us at a conference is, what do we do? That is definitely the most common question I think anyone gets at conferences. what do you do, right? And so our team is going to answer that question exactly the same. We help marketers and entrepreneurs learn how to use messenger marketing to grow their business or their client's business. How do we do that, they might ask? Well, we do that through all of the content that we're producing, similarly to this video right here, as well as our messenger marketing crash course, which is a free course like I mentioned on ManyChat, as well as our YouTube channel, where you guys are right now getting this free content, as well as our Facebook group where we have live interviews and post all sorts of awesome educational content, as well as our interview show. There's a bot for that where we interview the best of the best in the messenger marketing world. So that's how we're going to answer that question in regards to what do we do. We're going to make sure that our team all has generally the same answers. We know that everyone has different personality and different voice, so this isn't a script for them to follow exactly, but as long as they have that general understanding and don't deviate too far off the script and can add in their own personality, it's going to be really beneficial that we all kind of have the same answer. So what do we sell? Well, at School of Bots, we have the Chatbot Agency Accelerator, which is our 5-week in-depth program on teaching you everything you need to know about messenger marketing. We also have our chatbot templates available for sale, as well as our consulting. And if they do want to work with us on a chatbot agency side of things, we do work with clients still through Ineffable Marketing, which is our chatbot agency. Probably my favorite process now in the School of Bots brand awareness subsystem is going to be swag, right? I love swag. As you can see, I'm wearing my shirt now. I pretty much live in the School of Bots shirt. I think that's really good when you own your own brand and you have your own image, that you really put that out there as much as possible and you associate your face and your voice with that brand image. So what are we doing about swag? How much swag are we bringing? Who are we giving the swag to? Why are we giving them swag? Those are questions that I think are really important to ask yourself when you're going into a conference. I don't think that everyone out there should buy shirts and buy socks and buy pens, and every time they meet someone at a conference, here's a sock, here's a pen, here's a shirt. Like, I don't think that you're gonna get value out of that. But what we did here is say, what value can we give to people? Okay, so we've got our shirts and socks. So who are we gonna give those shirts and socks to? Well, for us here at School of Bots, because we're trying to get our brand out there as much as possible, and bots are such a new thing and such a buzzword at conferences like Traffic and Conversion, pretty much anyone who recognizes our brand or expresses interest in chatbot marketing will get a shirt or get socks. What we found, honestly, was that everyone loved the socks. I was handing out socks left and right, and we didn't get any negative reactions for it. Everyone seemed really thankful and really happy. And on top of that, it had the scan codes on there, a unique scan code that'll send them through an experience where they can gain even more value from our brand. The last step here in this process is that Kyle is in charge of distributing the swag, and I'll have a backpack or tote. You might think that this is something that's not necessarily important to include, but it was, because what this allowed me to do was understand that I was going to be the one with a backpack handing out these shirts and socks, and I was able to take a rubber band and bind up these shirts into kind of more of an organized and neat fashion, so that when I handed it to people or when I reached in my bag, I wasn't fumbling around a bunch of shirts and socks. I was able to pull out a perfect medium-sized shirt and socks and hand it to that prospect. And the last part here is going to be our business cards. Super important. We'll be breaking down these a little bit more in another video, but our business cards, we found, do a lot better job at standard business cards. Why do they do that? Because each one of our business cards not only has a picture of our face on them, but they have a unique scan code. Now, this unique scan code is going to drive them to where they'll be able to find our personal profiles, Facebook, LinkedIn. They'll be able to get access to our free course, the Messenger Marketing Crash Course. They'll be able to look up more information on our company. If they want to work with us from the Ineffable Marketing side of things, they'll be able to go down that path of, I want to work with you guys, submit information, and see if this is something that we want to work with them as well. Or send them through our Chatbot Agency Partner Network and work with one of our students. So I'm going to try to speed up a little bit fast here. Go a little bit faster here just so you guys can get the most amount of value from this. So our next subsystem is going to be the Chatbot Agency Accelerator. This is actually our course. So what happens when people ask us about TCA? Well, it's our 5-week program that teaches people how to start and scale a profitable chatbot agency. We've packaged everything we use in our agency and continue to teach the new tactics we learn with our clients. And we're focused more on ManyChat now, but have lots of content on Chatfuel. So that's pretty much going to be what we as a team say to anyone who asks us, what is your course? What is the Chatbot Agency Accelerator? And if they want to learn more, we're going to go ahead and send them to the Messenger Marketing Crash Course, which is our free course on how to use ManyChat, and they'll be able to learn if this is something that they want to take more seriously, and then they'll be able to be pushed through to the Chatbot Agency Accelerator. So our next process here, our next subsystem I should say rather, is going to be prospecting for Ineffable. So this is going to be our chatbot marketing agency. So if anyone wants to work with us, how do we go down that path? Where do we send them? So if someone wants to work with us internally only, this is something that we want to make sure that we're not saying to anyone, but we have a clear understanding inside of our system here of internally. If a big fish like, Social Media Examiner, who's one of our clients, falls into our lap again, then we're going to consider taking that on. We're not necessarily in the park right now for a new client, but if a big fish like that were to fall in our lap, then we'll go ahead and take that on and consider that. So what do we actually say to them? So are they a marketing agency or are they a business owner? If they're a marketing agency, do they want to learn for themselves or do they want to have someone else do it for them? Well, if they want to learn this from themselves and they are a marketing agency, then we're going to send them over to the Chatbot Agency Accelerator or the Messenger Marketing Crash Course dependent on their skill level. And we're going to do that through a scan code. Now, if they're a business owner, what we're going to do is have them email us at hello@schoolofbots with all the details, and we'll push them into our agency network. Or if they prefer, we can give them that scan code, like I said, and there is a section in that scan code where they can proceed with working with us and submit all of those necessary details there. Moving on to the content creation subsystem. So Kenji, I had mentioned earlier, was our videographer that we hired. So what do we want Kenji to do? What do we want to make sure that doesn't get overlooked in his process? So he's in charge of taking all the video for Natasha's talk. He gets some buttery B-roll of us at the conference, gets some photos for content on Facebook as well as Instagram, and gets video the video intro for this video that you saw right here. If you watched the beginning of this video, then you saw me having that intro at Traffic and Conversion. That happened because of this process right here in our subsystem. So then Kyle's video content, what am I in charge of getting there? So I'm going to be taking video of Natasha and students and attendees. So while we're mingling, I can kind of back up a little bit and grab a picture or grab some B-roll of Natasha talking with students or attendees. I'm going to be taking pictures of Natasha on stage actually giving her presentation, as well as key people to find for content. Like, who do I want to take pictures of with Natasha or with myself? So, we have the founder of ManyChat, we've got Molly Pittman, Thomas from Optin Monster, Jeff McPherson, ManyChat team, Sunny, Ezra Firestone, all these awesome people that were there at Traffic and Conversion. Well, you want to kind of dial it down a little bit, right? You want to figure out there's so many awesome people there. Who are the exact people that I would love to take a picture with that after the conference you could turn into content or value added for your audience, right? And so that's what we did here. Moving on is going to be our Facebook Lives. Now, unfortunately, we actually didn't end up going live on Facebook at the conference. I think that that's kind of important to note here because you might think that everything in this system is getting done. That's not necessarily the case here. This is to make sure that everything that you have gets done the best way possible. But at the end of the day, sometimes things do get left out. And you'll see here as we get towards the end, that could have an implication on your system by giving you a negative output rather than a positive output. So for Facebook Lives, we didn't end up doing it, but we had the process driven out that said Natasha and Kyle go live once a day on Natasha's personal profile. We're going to share that live in the School of Bots group and page, and we're also going to be looking for opportunities to go live with any awesome people like I had kind of mentioned in the previous process. So moving on to our scan codes subsystem here. This is super important. This is something really powerful. I think that when you're at conferences, if you take the time as a messenger marketer to kind of dive one level deeper and make these experiences and these flows as unique as possible, you're going to add the most amount of value to your experience there at the conference as you can. So for our scan codes, the different scan codes that we have, first off is going to be our business cards, like I had mentioned earlier. And that's going to send them to our personal profile, to the Facebook group, to the free course, to pretty much anything they would want, as well as the back of the shirt. As you can see here, I got the scan code, School of Bot scan code on the back of my shirt. Now, people think that the back of the shirt is going to be so people can come up to us and scan the code at the conference. That's not necessarily the case. this scan code, people haven't seen it before. It's a messenger scan code. It's not super common. They're more used to seeing QR codes, right? And so kind of building this awareness of, oh, what's that? Can I scan it? It doesn't look like I would scan it as a QR code, so where would I scan it? Kind of starting to build that curiosity, as well as then also having the opportunity to turn around and bust it out and actually have them scan your shirt and be sent through to a unique flow. Super awesome, great idea. Another scan code that we always have anytime we leave the house is going to be having a scan code on the background of our iPhone. Anytime we're having a conversation, your iPhone is right in your pocket. It is an insanely valuable sales tool that I think a lot of people overlook. One of the easiest ways to sell people on a chatbot is having them go through a chatbot on your phone. So if you pull that phone out and have them actually scan your phone background, that's going to not only take them into a chatbot where they will be able to learn more about kind of what a chatbot experience looks like, but it's also going to give them all the necessary information that they want to get from you in a way that they can't just throw it away or have it in their pocket. It's a little bit more sticky than that, right? So that's definitely something that we always want to have, is have our scan codes on the background of our phone. We also have the scan codes on the packaging of the socks. So anytime that I handed out socks at the conference, people were getting on the package a scan code with directions. So if they were curious, they could bust out their phone, scan that code, and be sent through a unique flow. It says, wow, looks like you met Kyle and Natasha and got some awesome School of Bot socks from them, and then send them down the path of maybe even pushing them into the messenger marketing crash course where they can gain value from us and learn even more about what a chatbot is and how to build one themselves. The last process here is my Apple Watch. I actually found a way to get the scan code on my Apple Watch. So a little bit more fun if you're dealing with like a younger guy or someone more techie. Pretty cool to just lift up your wrist and have him scan your watch and be sent into another unique bot flow. The last one here is going to be our schedule. This is going to be where we have everything, every single part of the day. What are we doing at 8 a.m.? What are we doing at 10 a.m.? What conference do we want to go to at this time? At this time, Kyle's going to film his intro for the video. We have all of that planned out on the calendar. So this process is just going to say C calendar because you can't do everything here. There are certain tools that you're going to need to incorporate in your systems. Like we use Asana, and our calendar would be the two most important tools that we're going to use to keep this system on track. So now comes the best part, the positive outputs. What is this system actually shooting out? You've chosen your inputs. You've recognized your imposed inputs. You've taken those, put them through your system. They've gone through the subsystems. They've gone through the processes, and what comes out? Well, here for us, our positive outputs for traffic and conversion, we're going to be new leads for the Messenger Marketing Crash Course, and which ends up being the Chatbot Agency Accelerator. Like I had mentioned, pretty much anyone that we met, if they expressed any interest in chatbots and didn't have experience yet, then we were giving them that value by sending them to our free, in-depth messenger marketing crash course on how to build a bot using ManyChat. And that, of course, will funnel into our course, the Chatbot Agency Accelerator. Another positive output is going to be the footage that we're going to get for future content. Now, like you probably saw, we have Kenji and myself filming footage of Natasha speaking to awesome guests, speaking on stage, us mingling with people, me handing out socks. So one of the positive outputs is all of that awesome footage, which you saw here in our B-roll on this video actually, that we can use for content. Another piece is going to be credibility. Us having our brand out there, having all of our shirts, Natasha speaking on stage. Credibility, another huge positive output for us. Natasha was obviously crushing it on stage. What does that do for our brand? Does nothing but give us massive amounts of credibility. Another big one for me is going to be brand awareness. This is the socks, this is the shirt, this is the scan code. Every time I ever met anyone, we're giving them something of brand awareness, giving them a business card, giving them a shirt, giving them a sock, telling them what School of Bots is, what our mission is, and how we help people on a day-to-day basis. That's definitely one of my favorite positive outputs of this system. As well as lastly, just relationships that you're going to be building if you follow these processes correctly. Now, unfortunately, with every system, you're going to have positive outputs, but you're also going to have negative outputs. So these are things that you're definitely going to want to consider. What are the possibilities of bad things that can happen, that can come out of my system, right? So the first one is going to be possibility of hurting our brand image if the system is not followed. So if we don't follow this system, if someone asks us, who are you? What do you do? And Natasha tells them an entirely different answer than I do, then that's definitely going to hurt our brand image. So that's possible. If you don't follow this system, then we are going to have the capability, or possibility, I should say, of hurting our brand image. All right, guys, that was our system that we use to get the most out of traffic and conversion. I hope you got as much value out of that as we did. Like I had mentioned plenty of times, I'm going to be going over so much system content this year. Systems. I really do believe that these can help people get what they want to get out of their business, to be more organized, to have a more clear vision of what their brand is doing. Thanks, everyone. If this video was helpful for you, go ahead and give it a like, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and see you in the next video.